This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Okay, panel resolved. My name is Nakato Shamra from the Academy St. Lawrence. Now, what do we get from Team Negatives in today's debate? They are trying to tell us that for them, they are looking at the education system globally, and therefore they think that when we solve this, then maybe we shall solve the problem of unemployment. But dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me remind you what is happening currently when it comes to the graduates, whereby those people go for maybe to learn maybe medicine, to learn engineering, but guess what? Out of 1,000 people that are going to go for that, it will be only 10 people that are going to get that kind of job. What does this mean? This means that this is not sustainable enough. Like currently, the status quo is that yes, we have graduates that are there and they don't have the jobs. Pano, when you look at the economy of the countries, globally, it is literally identified that there are very many people, yes, they go for the education, for the skilling, but many of them, when we talk about the youths, they don't have anything to do. They are just there looking for these jobs, which are not there. That is why we are seeing creative economy as the only solution that is going to, please wait, as the only solution that is going to literally solve this kind of problem. Now, Pano, we also tell you that 6.9 million Nigerians are employed. What does this mean? It means that creative economy is literally working in such a country, in a developing country like Nigeria. 6.9 panel, 2.7 million Kenyans are also employed in the creative economy. What does this mean? It literally means that this is giving us hope. Rather than when we look at things like, going for something formal, something maybe to become a lawyer. How many lawyers do we have now? There are very many people out there who are trying to look for law firms, but they don't have them. Why? Because they are literally, they don't know what to do. They have the skills, but now they cannot even employ them. That is why we are saying that if the government can provide a conducive environment, if a government can provide policies like the copyright law, whereby these people are going to be able to work in a conducive environment, then we believe that creative economy is going to solve the problem of unemployment. No, we also come here and tell you that it's not all about, please wait, it's not all about digitalization, as they are maybe saying that you necessarily need to be a TikToker, you necessarily need to create content. No, we also have craftsmanship, whereby you can literally create something out of craft. You don't need that. We are saying that we are going to maximize what you have. Do you have clay? Do you have a sisal? Yes, that is what you are going to use, because that is also something to do with creative economy. Rather than looking at something like education, yes, our education is there, but then we are not seeing any solution. The only solution that we are seeing as team affirmatives is the creative economy, because it's the only way to go. The traditional economy is not working because people don't have jobs. That is why we are coming up with creative economy. We also come here and tell you that 70% of the Ugandan youths, 70% of Uganda's population are youths. What does this mean? It means that we need to literally find something else that can help them get employment, rather than when you look at education, as they're trying to say. We also tell you that we are looking at inclusivity. We are also looking at job provision, diverse. It's a big field. If you cannot do filming, then maybe you can be you can work with the musicians. That is also employment. If you cannot do music, then maybe you can do film, you can do publishing. It's not always about creating content, as they are claiming in today's debate. Now, they also come here and tell us about the urban areas. But, Pano, we tell you that it's not about you having the digital tools. No, even with the crafts that you have, you can still create employment. And that's what we want. We want all youths in the country to be able to get something to do, to sustain their lives, rather than sitting down and being idle. With that, we believe that creative economy is the way to go. I beg to rest. Thank you.
Give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, and you have made him rich for a lifetime. They come to us and they say that you do not need an education in order to participate in the creative economy. But you realize that if you participate in the creative economy, you are more or less setting up a business, right? Because you're going to have your content creating, and you're going to want to have a formal way in order to, collaborate with these different people who are going to come to you to do business for them, to advertise for them. And if you are starting a business, you can't tell me that you're going to start a business and run it properly if you do not have the basic education of reading and writing, if you do not have the education that you're going to need in order to keep the business records and all of that, and that's why you'll be falling out. They say that graduates are not being employed, but that is exactly why quality education on our side of the house includes technical and vocational education to enable people to employ themselves, to enable people to do things for a living. They talk about, so allow me to first give you a benchmark country. You realize that, panel, ladies and gentlemen, by the mid-20th century, countries such as Singapore and South Korea had poorly performing economies. But that all stopped when the government invested in quality education by introducing vocational and technical education, and hence they were able to produce job creators and not job seekers, and now they are properly developed countries. And so before I proceed, allow me to forward some questions to the affirmatives. First of all, how will you ensure that the creative economy jobs are sustainable and not just short-term hustles, which with no long-term upward mobility? Most creative, I'll take you on later. Most creative industry jobs require continuous innovation and business. Realize that most creative economy industry jobs require continuous innovation and business acumen. But how are you equipping the people in rural and underprivileged youths for that? That shows you that their inclusivity is actually not coming out. So why is it that the creative economy lacks the potential to actually provide the solvency for youth unemployment globally? Realize that, first of all, the creative economy is exclusive in that only the people who have access to technology can benefit substantially and sustainably. How does this come about? Realize that someone is going to make his crafts, he's going to sell to his immediate community. They're going to buy, they're going to get satisfied. But after that, he's going to need, I'll take you on, he's going to need more market. He's going to need to advertise people through online platforms. But since this person is in a rural area and they lack this technology, they are not going to be able to do so. In that way, they are not able to get those exclusive benefits from the creative economy, and that way it's only benefits those people who have access to technology. That is how exclusive it is. On top of that, realize that the employment in the creative economy is unsustainable. How does this happen? Realize that someone is going to make his crafts today, and maybe people are going to come and buy his crafts today. But tomorrow, if people don't come to buy his crafts because they bought them yesterday, because they are now satisfied, what will he do? He will have to move on. That shows you that the employment that the creative economy provides is non-sustainable, and in that way, it cannot provide sustainable employment for the youths in the country. On top of that, realize that most of the unemployed youths in the world are located in the low-developed countries. According to the Europe Mercy Corps organization in 2019. Okay.
Are you aware of the growth population in the whole globe? Are you aware of it? Like how?
I'm aware that the population is growing, more graduates are coming out, and these graduates still need to be employed. And so on top of that, I was still saying that according to the EuropeMercyCorps.org, in 2019, Northern Africa had a youth unemployment rate of 30%, more than twice the global average of that time of 13.6%. In contrast, countries like Japan had a youth unemployment rate of 4.2% in 2023, according to Statista. This shows you that most of the unemployed youths globally are found in countries with poor accessibility to technology. What does that mean? It means that most of the unemployed youths in the world cannot get proper employment from the creative economy because they cannot properly access the technology that they need in order to benefit substantially and sustainably from this economy. So how the quality education actually provides solvency for youth unemployment? Realize that the quality education that we provide gives you a range of skills. We have said that it's going to include vocational, technical, and all sorts of trainings that are coming in. If someone has this range of skills, when they go out into the world, they're going to be able to choose. Maybe they want to go into the creative economy. Maybe they want to go and get a white-collar job. Maybe they want to go up and start their own business. With all this range of options, you can't possibly get someone being unemployed. With that, I beg to rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.